Dana Lash.
Success of small business comes from being accountable for every dollar that is earned. The government does not do this. They don't even have to show benefit to the taxpayer. What they do is establish ridiculous restrictions and guidelines for operating a small business. And then they had the audacity to determine that only some small businesses were essential.
The Dana Show.
Live middays 11 till 2, right here on the Big Talker, KQAM.
It's time for some straight talk. Tax returns could look a little different this year. So when the big carriers start trying to get you to splurge on the latest nonsense, just tune it out. With Straight Talk Wireless, you can get a Samsung Galaxy A51 for just $199. Plus, get our unlimited plan with no contract on America's best networks for up to 50% less. Tune out the nonsense, tune into Straight Talk Wireless. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise.
Savings may vary. See straighttalk.com.
This is a Steckline communication station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM, Wichita proud. It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by MJ's Truck Repair of Mound Ridge, Kansas. Sales and service of the big rigs and trailers, plus ag diesel equipment repair on and off the farm.
Good afternoon, I'm Andy Hooser. Well, with the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccination now available for individuals 12 years and older, health officials are advocating for parents to do a little extra preparation and education for their children to feel comfortable in getting the vaccine.
They're kind of looking down on it because they don't know the long-term effects of it, so they're a little skeptical because I've heard somebody, got paralyzed or something.
Health officials do advise that parents talk to their children about what to expect with the COVID-19 vaccine and explain the role that even kids play in slowing the spread of the virus. In other news, the Wichita Wind Surge is hosting a job fair tomorrow from 3 to 7 p.m. at Riverfront Stadium. As KSN News reports, the jobs are available in the food and beverage team, along with the fan experience team.
We just want to make sure that we are 100%, or I should say 110%, staffed so that we can manage the process of what's going on.
That was Bob Mollett, the senior manager of fan experience on KSN News. You can pre-schedule your interview at windsurge.com. Now let's go to sports.
As KU awaits the violations and penalties to be announced by the NCAA, they're still adding for next year's team. Yesterday, they got the commitment from Arizona State transfer Remy Martin. The guard averaged 19 points per game for the Sun Devils last season. And in the upcoming Belmont Stakes, there will be no Medina Spirit. Bob Baffert has been banned from entering any horses from the races at Belmont Park. Tonight on KGSO, Wichita Wind Surge at the Tulsa Drillers with pregame at 6:50. From the KGSO Sports Desk, I'm Mason Voth.
Did you know that Rusty Eck Ford can certify any pre-owned vehicle regardless of make or model? So if you're searching for the perfect certified pre-owned vehicle, look no further than Rusty Eck Ford.
While we have a wide variety of Ford certified vehicles, we are now offering certified pre-owned vehicles of all makes and models. That's right, virtually all makes and models and over 300 pre-owned vehicles to choose from. With Rusty Eck Ford's Blue Advantage program, you'll receive 90-day, 4,000-mile comprehensive coverage on Chevys, Toyotas, Hondas, and more. And every one of these vehicles is run through a 139-point inspection, offering you total peace of mind. Rusty Eck Ford is your certified pre-owned powerhouse. Don't forget to ask about our optional 4-day or 200-mile exchange policy.
There's no worry here at your certified pre-owned powerhouse, Rusty Eck Ford. If you don't come see us today, we can't save you any money. RustyEckFord.com.
Excludes Lincoln and select high-end premium brands.
Retire Hour, discussing the hard retirement topics each week.
If you're not careful, that could cost you the family farm.
The best tax bracket to be in is 0%.
That could save you a lot of money on your Medicare insurance.
No one wants to leave a mess for their kids.
Inflation's lurking around every corner.
There's all kinds of taxes you need to be worried about in retirement.
I'll tell you what, that's the kind of help people need to sleep better at night.
All this and more on Retire Hour each week right here on KQAM, Saturdays 8 a.m., Sundays 7 a.m. You can also tune in at retirehour.com.
Market information from Mid-America Ag Network. Time to take a look at Kansas and Oklahoma's closing cash grain bids. It is Tuesday, May 18th. We saw some downward pressure on soybeans and wheat in the futures markets. That's very similar to what we are seeing in the cash grains on Tuesday. Let's take a look at the numbers. We'll start in Garden City, Kansas today, where the wheat finished at $6.30. The corn closed out the day at $7.18. The milo $6.68. And the soybeans, $15.40. At Fredonia, wheat was at $6.47, corn was at $6.93, milo $6.58, soybeans $15.70. At Belleville, $6.33 on the wheat, $6.52 on the corn, $6.19 on milo, and $15.40 on soybeans. Sumner County, wheat $6.23, corn $6.78, milo $6.43, the beans $15.69. At Concordia, Kansas, the wheat was at $6.43, corn $6.62, milo $6.29, soybeans $15.50. And at Goodland, wheat closed out the day at $6.07, corn $6.90, milo $6.75, soybeans $15.64. In Oklahoma, starting in Panhandle Hooker, wheat was at $6.32, corn $7.28, milo $7.08, beans $15.34. At Enid, wheat was at $6.43, corn was at $6.78, milo $7.23, soybeans $15.84. And at Ponca City, wheat was at $6.25 at the end of the day, corn $6.74, milo $6.93, beans $15.64. The calculator does some adding and dividing, and here we go with our averages. $6.31 across Kansas and Oklahoma on wheat. That's down 4. Corn finished with an average of $6.85 across the two states, up 6. Milo is at $6.68 on the average. That's also up 6. And soybeans, like wheat, had kind of a tough day. $15.57 the average across Kansas and Oklahoma on beans, down 13. Kansas and Oklahoma closing cash grain bids, Mid-America Ag Network.
Your local weather on KQAM. Brought to you by Derby Mattress. No dancing animals, no gimmicks. Your locally owned hometown mattress store at 105 South Baltimore in Derby.
Here's your latest Wichita weather. For this afternoon, we'll see thunderstorms throughout the day. Our temperature high will reach 74. The low will get down to 63. On Wednesday, there'll be thunderstorms again. The temperature high will be 76 and the low will get down to 64. On Thursday, there'll be a 40% chance of thunderstorms. Our temperature will reach 75 for the high and 65 for the low. That's your Wichita Weather Center update. I'm forecaster David Hensley.
That's your latest Cake First Alert weather update on the Big Talker, KQAM.
At 4:06, it's currently 70 degrees.
Fighting for freedom every day.
They are absolutely desperate to pretend the last 4 years never happened and for them to go back to what they like to do before, which is create these massive spending bills to pretend that it's really, really important to you when you only get about 5% of what's in the bill, and they can't do it because we're aware of it. We're paying attention to it, and they don't like that.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
This is the Voice of Reason. It is a post-Monday celebration, the greatest day of the entire week. I know. We say that every single day, but by golly, we're going to make it happen. Carpe diem the heck out of today. See what we did there? Welcome in, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship radio station, all over the country on radio and TV, plus our live streaming and podcasting thereafter as well. Your Millennial General reporting for duty the way we do every single day, and boy, do we have a show lined up for you today. I am super excited. At the bottom of the hour, ANNALISA PESEK. She's with the New American. She'll be joining us talking about race culture, the protest, civil rights movement, and critical race theory. We'll have some fun with that one, but I don't want to waste any time today. You can find us all over our social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, twitch.tv, plus ourfreedombook.com, and of course our website at HooserReason.com. I don't want to waste any time because we have a super awesome guest on. I've been a big fan of his for a very long time, and we have limited time with him, so I want to jump right into it. And you know the name. If you don't know the name, you've probably lived under a rock for a really, really long time. He was the anchor of the iconic show The O'Reilly Factor on tons of TV station and cable news all over the country for 16 years. BillO'Reilly.com. The no spin news that he has on First TV. Also the O'Reilly update that he does on radio stations all over the country. And author of his latest book, Killing the Mob. I'm super excited and honored to have on the program Mr. Bill O'Reilly himself. Bill, how are you, my friend?
I'm fine, Andy. How you doing out there?
I am living the dream, and I appreciate you coming on the program very much. It's great to talk to you. And this is a fascinating book, Killing the Mob. I've always been curious on how deep and entrenched the mob, the mafia, goes into American politics and history. I mean, you hear about the culture down in Mexico, and you hear about the cartels. And as much as I love like mariachi music myself, that all the music, all the culture, all the movies, everything's done by the cartel and what's approved and not approved. And my question has always been, has the mob and the mafia always had that much influence in American politics and culture as well?
Well, killing the mob takes us from the 1930s when in Kansas, bank robbers were running wild. You remember John Dillinger, Bonnie and Clyde, Babyface Nelson, Pretty Boy Floyd, all of them. And we begin the book there because that led to the rise of the FBI. So President Roosevelt said, we got to get these guys out of here. They're still stealing millions of dollars. And so that was the first time where the federal government basically declared war on criminality. After World War II, the mafia from Sicily dominated America from 1946 to 1961, unchecked. They controlled showbiz, movies, records, unions, Las Vegas, Cuba, gambling, you name it, they controlled it. Wow. And it wasn't until Bobby Kennedy came in 61 as Attorney General that the federal government even began investigating them. So I would say that the mob reaches apex of power in those 15 years from 46 to 61.
How did they get to power so quickly like that? And I want you to talk about the story about World War II as well and how they kind of came over, because I think that's a fascinating story as well. But in 16 years, they go from coming to the country and then dominating culture, dominating the country. How did they do such a thing?
Well, because nobody knew about it. So I wrote the book Killing Patton, sold millions of copies, and I didn't know, even after researching that George Patton in North Africa was dependent upon the mafia in Sicily to invade that island. And the deal was made by President Roosevelt that if the Sicilian mob helped the United States and Britain get onto Sicily, because the Germans were occupying, and it went the Allies' way, that after the war, there would be some gentleman admitted to the USA from Sicily. It's exactly what happened. And once they showed up in New York and Philly, they divided into families, just like The Godfather, and they controlled the unions. Once you control the unions, Andy, you can get anything done. You can bribe people, you can build entire cities like Las Vegas, you can run the film industry. The unions were the key, and the mafia took them over. And it is an amazing story. You know, Killing the Mob, first 2 weeks, has sold almost 200,000 copies. And I'm not making anybody an offer they can't refuse. It's, you know, the book is just there. You're going to like it. But there's a tremendous interest in this subject because it's never really been done the way we do it. This is the 10th Killing book, as you may know. Yeah. The most successful nonfiction book series of all time.
It's amazing. And to learn kind of the strings that pulled, you know, the politics, the culture, everything behind the scenes for so long. I mean, now, do they still have their hands into Vegas as what it used to be? Because, I mean, you watch movies like Casino, where they used to control it. Now it's so family and PG and it's kind of mainstreamed, where I don't know that they have as much of an influence out there, do they?
Well, organized crime now is corporate, and they have a lot of legitimate businesses. So they may have a piece of some of the hotels out there on the Strip. They may be investors in that, but they don't run it the way they used to do it. It's a whole different deal now. Today, organized crime makes most of its money on selling narcotics, but they don't sell it. They just supervise it and distribute it all over the country. Wichita, every town. You're talking about heroin, methamphetamine, cocaine, the synthetic drugs that kill you. The mob oversees that and franchises it out to street gangs who actually sell it. It's an amazing turnaround, and it happened because the federal government passed a series of laws called the RICO laws, where they could easily tap and surveil organized crime, so they had to change the way they operated.
I never thought that the mob or the mafia in America would be handling narcotics like they do. So, I mean, are they in close connection with the cartels down at the southern border, or do they have some type of relationship?
It's an excellent question you're asking. So, there are no Mexican cartels in America. Isn't that strange? There are 500,000 foreign nationals since Biden became president that have come here. 500,000, 500,000 people. But no Mexican cartels in any of the American cities, because the deal was struck between the American organized crime chieftains and the cartel chieftains that it would break down this way. Cartel would manufacture and smuggle the drugs into the United States, and organized crime would take it from there. They both make billions of dollars. They don't need to fight each other, and that's the distribution pipeline. Since President Biden has become president, since his inauguration, there are more narcotics in the United States than at any other time in history because of Biden's open border policy.
In the first 100 days of the administration, we've already hit that record. I mean, I guess that's an accomplishment, right?
I mean, it's frightening if you really understand how dangerous these drugs are now.
Yeah.
So if you take fentanyl, and I want everybody listening to Andy and myself right now, if you ever get offered fentanyl and you take it, you're going to die. It depends when, not if. Yeah. You're going to die if you take that drug, and that drug is pouring in here now.
With how much money that they make, I mean, is there a way to actually stop the spread of the narcotics? I mean, I know we have this quote-unquote war on drugs in America, and as we kind of loosen up marijuana laws and as we try to deal with the narcotics in America, I mean, you're right. I mean, Wichita, Kansas, here, all over the state of Kansas, all over the nation, we obviously have the problem, but, I mean, heroin's a major. Heroin and fentanyl are huge in meth here in the Mid-America region, along with gun trafficking, human trafficking, this sort of thing. It's so big. Are we able to stop it? Is the government able to fight it, or they just kind of look the other way because it's kind of a too big to fail scenario?
Well, you got to have the will to do it, and I don't see any politicians with that will. Now, Trump did an interesting thing. He put a border policy in place that made it very difficult to get a lot of bulk narcotics across. So he reorganized it, it worked, and then Biden disassembled it on the first day. Now, if you were to say to Joe Biden, hey, do you not understand that what you did, not only making it easier for people to come here, foreign nationals to come here, but drugs to get in here, do you understand that? I don't think Joe Biden does. I don't think he's capable of that at this point. But that's no excuse. Certainly his party. But the Democratic Party and most of the Republican Party, they don't really care about the issue. They see it as a social, societal issue, not as a national security issue, where I see it a little bit differently.
Yeah, we're talking with Bill O'Reilly. You can find him on the First TV, also with his No Spin News and the O'Reilly update that he does on the radio all over the country. Let's go back in history a little bit, like you mentioned before with your book, Killing the Mob. Let's talk about some of the most iconic mobsters in the nation and how they kind of got their notoriety in American history.
Well, during the Depression, as people in Kansas well know, everybody hated the banks. The banks were throwing farmers off their land. They were throwing people out of their homes, foreclosing like crazy because nobody had any money. So these robbers, bank robbers, all of them evil, and the movies glamorized them, but they weren't. They rise up, and the people actually helping them escape and things like that, and they're throwing money at the folks and you know, like a Robin Hood thing. Yeah. But they were really bad people, all of them. And what happened coming out of that was that President Roosevelt told Hoover, the young lawyer put in charge of the FBI, you got to stop this. So here's a fascinating thing that we document in Killing the Mob. It was no hands up, come out. The young FBI went after these people, and they assassinated them. The feds assassinated them, shot them down.
Wow.
So, and they all knew it. And there was a loosely organized group, Dillinger and Babyface Nelson. They knew each other, and they helped each other. But once the feds caught up with them, that's where G-men came in, government men, G-men. They knew that if the FBI caught up to them, they weren't going to go to jail. They were going to go to the cemetery. Then, at the same time, in Chicago, Al Capone set the template for organized crime. So Capone ran that city by bribing everybody because he was making tens of millions of dollars selling bootleg alcohol during Prohibition. He had so much money that he could buy everybody, and he did. And now the Sicilians on the East Coast Lucky Luciano was the first Godfather. They saw that. They saw what happened, and they said, we can do this national. Capone's local, Chicago, we can do it all over. And they did. They accomplished it.
It's amazing. We got just about 45 seconds left here, Bill O'Reilly. But the big question is, do they have as much influence as what they used to? Obviously, I'm guessing it kind of faded out near the JFK era sort of time. They're around still, obviously, making the narcotics money. Do they have the influence in government like they used to?
No. It's too easy for the feds to track them if they try to bribe somebody. But they're making more money they've ever made before, but they do not have that influence. They can't call up a Hollywood big shot and say, make this movie and put Frank Sinatra in it. Yeah. They can't do that anymore. And I want to tell everybody, Andy, if you want to buy Killing the Mob, you go to BillO'Reilly.com and we'll give you 50% off Killing Crazy Horse, which was my another bestseller, and a lot that takes place in Kansas. People will love it. So that's a great deal for Father's Day. Mother's Day's gone. Father's Day, Granddad, go to BillO'Reilly.com. We'll give you a good deal.
I love it. BillO'Reilly.com, plus the O'Reilly Update as well on radio and on the TV. Bill, it's good to talk to you, my friend. You've been a big icon in my life as well, so I appreciate that. We'd love to get you back on the show again soon.
And a pleasure to talk to you. When you need me, give me a call. Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. Lots more coming up for The Voice of Reason on a post-Monday celebration. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, live stream, chat with other listeners, and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on The Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe to any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hoosier Media Network, visit us on the website at HoosierReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the program. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Radio and TV, plus the live stream, podcasting, wherever you may be watching or listening. We appreciate you very much. Thanks again to Bill O'Reilly coming on the program. That's kind of a fun interview. Enjoyed chatting with him. I have to admit, if you're looking for history and historical facts, as much as I love history, I know a sliver of what Bill O'Reilly does with all the research he does and all the great books he has out. And if you want to learn something historical, if you're a history buff, then he's the go-to guy to learn some of that stuff. BillO'Reilly.com, you can find all that, plus his radio updates and TV stuff now that he's not with Fox News anymore, kind of doing his own thing. And we appreciate him coming on the program very much, promoting his new book, Killing the Mob, Fight Against Organized Crime in America. And he's right. It's an interesting concept how we've idolized criminals for so long. If they've gone against the system, even in a vulgar and bad way, we've idolized them to be the great heroes of America. These mafia guys, these mobsters, these bank robbers, and we've idolized them. We had the movie Bonnie and Clyde, what was it, a couple years ago that they came out with Kevin Costner. And there was somebody else big in that one, too. I don't remember. Woody Harrelson was in it as well. Bonnie and Clyde. It was a really good movie. It was a great movie, but we do idolize these individuals and make such a persona around them because they were such an iconic figure and they did something drastic and against the norm. And sometimes it's against the law and what they did was really, really bad, but we tend to idolize them in a way that it kind of puts them on this pedestal. And it's a very weird thing that we do in this nation, but that's what some people enjoy. It's what we enjoy. But we need to realize the facts of the matter was that they weren't good people. They were doing very bad things. Look at the mobsters now today, the mafia, making millions and millions and millions of dollars on narcotics. They're literally killing the population of America and profiting off of it, working with the cartels down in Mexico and making the money here in the United States, helping doing that distribution. That's a crazy thought right now. And I mentioned the cartels down there because it's funny, the media and the music and the movies and everything's controlled by the cartels down in Mexico to where, it's got to be approved by them. I've told you before, I really enjoy my cross-culturalism that I really get to enjoy with the Hispanic population. And there's a type of mariachi music, and anybody that does speak Spanish is going to laugh at me. Is it Norteña? Is that what you call it? Kind of the northern part of Mexico and their kind of mariachi band. I love it. There's actually stations locally around where I turn that on, and I have no idea what they're saying, but I enjoy it. It makes me feel happy when you listen to mariachi music, even though they may be talking about something devastating and being alone and kind of the country music of America where your dog died and your girlfriend left you and your truck broke down. That could be what they're singing, but by golly, they have that mariachi music, and it's got a peppy beat, and it puts a smile on my face, and I totally listen to that on frequent occasion. Mrs. Voice of Reason goes absolutely nuts with it, and she can't stand it. But hey, I don't care. I enjoy it. But I'm probably being offensive, and I am, tearing apart somebody's culture or something, because how dare I listen to that kind of music, even though I have no idea what they're saying. But all of that music, all of it, approved by the cartel. They have to make sure that they have the proper message. If they're speaking out against the cartel, they wind up with an overdose while they're chopped up in a little bag. Oh, wait, no, that was the Clinton Foundation. That's right. Man, I got my messages all mixed up there. When we come back, ANNALISA PESEK, she's going to be joining us from the New American. We'll be talking about the critical race theory in America, where we have systematic racism. Do we have systematic racism? And are the laws in place to oppress minorities in the country? We'll get to that. Plus, we have the Supreme Court making some interesting decisions. Now they're back in the news. The latest one, claiming that gun confiscation is unconstitutional in a 9-0 vote, but it wasn't because of the Second Amendment. It was because of the Fourth Amendment with unreasonable searches and seizures. And as we mentioned before, there are many rights that that the Democrats, progressives, elites are trying to go after. The Second Amendment's one of them. But when you pass red flag laws and you try to just barge into someone's home to take firearms, that's also a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Guess what? We have laws protecting us from things like that. We'll get into that here in a little bit as well. Right here for a Super Tuesday, the post-Monday celebration here on The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hoosier Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
I gotta say, the day flies right on by when you're having way too much fun. Welcome back into the program. It is the Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser, broadcasting here out of the heartland all over the nation. Radio and TV, plus live streaming, podcasting, trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag. Trying to rebrand the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. And we're gonna do it too, by golly. Gee willikers, I tell you what, great honk! What was that from? The Music Man? Anybody remember that one? My generation probably doesn't know much about The Music Man. One of my favorite musicals as a kid growing up. Actually got to participate in that one my junior year of high school. I was so excited. I knew it. I had watched that movie so much. I was going to be the lead. I knew it. I had it down pat. And what do? They put me as the bass for the quartet instead. I was so mad. So mad. We made it up the next year as I got to do the lead for Fiddler on the Roof. So there is that. I guess it got to balance out. Welcome back in. Radio and TV, live streaming, podcasting as well. You can find us all on HoosierReason.com as well. Just a little programming note for you. If you missed it, got to hang out with Mark Walters on Armed American Radio today, talking about some Second Amendment issues going on in the nation. You can find his podcast at armedamericanradio.org or radio stations all over the country. We'll get him back on the program here a little bit later as well. But right now, we've had a heck of a show already. Bill O'Reilly on the first part of the show, and now let's get into our latest and what's trending.
What's trending today?
And I'm excited to have our next guest back on the program as well. It's been too long since we've had her on, as she is a graduate from the University of Washington's High School of Seattle, Washington. Also recently joined the New American as well as a staff writer. And some big news going on out in the Washington area. The fact that we continue the fight on in Seattle, Washington, kudos there, because that's a crazy place to be in. Excited to have back on the program ANNALISA PESEK with us here. ANNALISA, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing very well, Andy. Thanks for having me. And I couldn't help commenting on your Music Man little segment there. And we've got trouble. We've got trouble over in the city and River City.
Yeah, that's right. Trouble in River City. I see. Okay, you're aware of it. I'm not the only young individual that understands. How many people in our generation do you think actually watch musicals nowadays?
Not many, but I grew up on The Music Man, Oklahoma, The King and I,
That's right.
So I'm right with you. I remember that musical fondly.
The classics. That's right. I was so devastated my junior year. I knew I was going to get the lead and the Music Man. And then the music teacher, which I love to death, I'm still good friends with her now, she had told her, she's like, sorry, but I only cast seniors in the leads because it's their last year, so I can't give you the lead of the Music Man. I was so devastated because that was my favorite. I knew I was going to get it. I already had the lines memorized, ready to go.
I'm sure you would have been fabulous.
Fun stuff. Anyway, it's good to have you back on the program. It's a weird, strange world right now as we're in this limbo between now, apparently, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear masks. But, if you're out protesting, you don't have to either. But if you're just the regular go to work, do your daily grind kind of person that doesn't want to get the vaccine because you're not quite comfortable, you don't feel like you need it, you're kind of the dirty, filthy, undesirables, tainted individuals of society. Is that kind of where we're at right now? And are you seeing that in Washington as well?
Yeah, you're pretty much the second-class citizen. Your yellow star is your vaccination status, and I don't mean to be glib. It's a very serious and scary thing that's happening in our country, and we're seeing this happen in Oregon in a way that we're not seeing it happen quite yet in other states. But I would say Washington is not far behind. I don't know if you've touched on the news in Oregon, but the Democratic governor there, Kate Brown, she had proposed a permanent mask mandate back in, I think it was January. The legislature proposed this, and then their mandate was coming up on May 4th, and I guess just last week she decided that, well, they will relax the mask rules because the CDC has come out with new guidelines and they're taking those into consideration, but only for vaccinated people. Okay, so that means that if you go into a business that requires a mask, you don't have to wear one if you're vaccinated, but if you're not vaccinated, you do have to wear one. How are they confirming a person's vaccination status is the question I'm asking. Are we suddenly supposed to have our papers ready? Are we going to be branded with a number on our arm? What is this? How are they going to enforce this? And why are people willing to accept this? I do know that there was a very small number of people in Oregon who stood up to this idea of the permanent mask mandate, but there were only about 10,000. That's not very many. So I guess I'm wondering, why are Americans willing to go along with this when it's clear where this is leading? And that's a very dark place. It is a really dark place, and I don't know that many Americans want to go along with it, except for maybe the fringe that are absolutely terrified, listen to Fauci on a daily basis, that sort of thing. But you're asking the exact proper question. I've been asking the same thing. How can we, if you have gotten the vaccine and you don't wear the mask, how do you differentiate between those that have gotten the vaccine and can take the mask off and those that haven't worn a mask and don't like to wear a mask and haven't gotten the vaccine? How do you know who's who other than some type of verification through paperwork or through an ID card or something? There are states already, too, that have already banned some type of COVID ID card or COVID vaccination card, Kansas included, where I'm at. But even if they do, I mean, small business has the right to turn away someone if they don't feel comfortable. So how are they going to differentiate? I mean, it's going to lead to a whole slew, I think, of legal cases all over the country. Yeah, and in Washington, they seem to be doubling down. Since Biden came out and announced that you could take the mask off if you're vaccinated, well, I live in an area in Washington State where you have to take the ferry to get to our home, and so they've been just Nazis about the mask, and we asked them, are you going to now relax that rule? And they said no. In fact, we're going to be more vigilant in enforcing it. So it's hard to say why that is when you've seen in Texas. I saw reported today that there are 0 new COVID deaths in Texas. Yeah. Okay, that 0 reported Sunday, 0 COVID deaths. And we don't even know alleged COVID deaths, right? But so there's 0 deaths, and they lifted their mask mandate in March, and that was a big, a big. Well, I mean, that was when Joe Biden came out and said that was Neanderthal thinking. Do you think he's going to take that back now? Exactly. Those Neanderthals, they're not as stupid as we think, right? They might be onto something. These primitive-minded folks who are deciding to keep their faces, free of that mass that can actually accumulate a lot of contaminants that are unhealthy for you. So it's all just ironic I'm actually in California right now, and I gotta say, I think things are happening in California that are not happening anywhere else. I think that there's a revival happening here in the church. I think that people are stepping up in their communities, whether they're people of faith or not. And I've just seen things I've been to restaurants where you've got some people masked, some people not masked, but it's their choice. The owner is saying, look, we're not gonna follow the governor's mandates. We are Americans. We have our freedom. We have liberty. And we're going to live by our Constitution. And if they come after us, let them come after us. Yeah. But we're going to stand strong. And they are. And it's been a very hopeful time here in California. I'm dreading going back to Washington.
I can imagine. It's encouraging to hear out of a state like California, too, where they kind of run the social experiments in the country. The next question is, now that we have the vaccine that's been approved for individuals, for kids 12 years and older, what have you heard on the streets, especially out there in California and Washington, about those that want to vaccinate their children?
I hear mixed. Parents are really struggling because they want to do right by their children, and they know that the vaccines, they have questions about them. They are still experimental. They are not FDA approved, and yet their child wants to go play baseball or be in their ballet performance. And these parents are having to make a choice. Do I forge a test? I've heard actually people are forging tests. Wow. And I've heard that parents are saying, no, we're not going to let you play. And others are going to the doctor to get exemptions. I guess that would be for the mask mandate. For the vaccine, I don't know what the exemption would be. But so it's kind of, I've heard a lot of different situations and parents handling it very differently. If the child obviously is, of an age where the parents have a say, then most of them that I've talked to are willing to forfeit that event. But then there are lots who aren't, because the kids have been out of school for a year, right? And to say now we're not going to let you go back to normal life unless you get the vaccine. But the vaccine, there are just issues with the vaccine that could be lifelong. And so you really need to, if I was a parent, I would be, and I'm of childbearing years, and I'm very concerned. I will not get the vaccine because I've heard and talked to people who haven't had their menstrual cycle or have miscarried.
And that's scary. That's scary. When you just don't need to. I mean, we've talked to many doctors that talk about, the vitamins you can take and the health you can have to be in that 99% category to not have any issues. Let's take a break here. ANNALISA, PESEK, the New American. When we come back, we'll shift gears a little bit, talk about critical race theory in the education system as we continue on with these children, because they are the future. So let's just inject them with vaccines and teach them some garbage. Yeah, we'll talk about that when we come back right here on The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back. And we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station.
We're here for you.
Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the voice of reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the program. Just a few minutes before the top of the hour. Goes by way too fast. By far the fastest hour of radio on radio. Plus we have the live stream, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch.tv. Make sure to find us on there. Also on OurFreedomBook.com and the website, of course, at HooserReason.com. You can find the video on all those. I don't give out the email enough as well. If you want to reach out to me, I try to respond to as many as I can. HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, Hooser, Hooser, medianetwork@gmail.com. You can email me there. Let me know your thoughts, good or bad. You can send me some nasty grams. It's okay. I can take it. I'm strong. Although I may need to go to my confession booth for my ultra masculinity or something. Who knows? In today's times, who the heck knows? We're talking with ANNALISA PESEK with the New American as we talk about some of the masks, vaccinations, plus the critical race theory. Let's get into this for a minute here. Now, I went through a couple years in college, realized it wasn't for me, and ended up dropping out and going to a broadcasting school. But I don't remember the term of critical race theory when I was in college. Is this a new thing as we try to figure out what laws and how society's just a crazy, systematic, racist, evil nation?
I guess that's my cue to come in. Yeah. The critical race theory, I heard recently a colleague describe it very simply. It's actually not a new idea, but it's the latest weapon that is being used against American children and Americans in general. It's becoming increasingly prevalent in the schools. And it's basically the idea originates from the 19th century ideals of Marxist principles, right? Which basically the idea is to overthrow capitalist governments and replace them with socialist ones. So all the critical race theory is this embodiment of ending racism by seeing it everywhere, okay? So replacing capitalism with this idea of identity and sexual orientation. Everything is based on those kinds of politics rather than individualism, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is new in the sense that it's becoming so prevalent, but the concept has been around for decades. It just hasn't been so blatantly taught in the public school, especially not in the K through 12 grades, which right now it's a huge topic.
So essentially, it's a new flavorful, hipster way of trying to talk about racism on how it's just everything is racist. And you're right. I mean, we're going to end racism by calling everything racist to try and make things as bland and flavorless as possible. To me, I mean, if you're going to end racism, you don't mention race. You don't look at someone and be like, wow, you're a black person, you must live in this category, in this box. You're an Asian woman, you're a Native American, you're whatever. I mean, when you look at gender, when you look at race, when you look at sexual orientation, when you look at religion, I mean, identity politics is what causes division, but they think somehow that's what's going to solve it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense. And you just reminded me of something that Morgan Freeman said not many years ago, but before we have become so immersed in these ideas. He said, the best way to end racism is to not talk about race at all, which is what you just said. But now everything is race-based. And you've got kids going to school where they're being taught because of their race, they're either in the oppressor class or the oppressed class. They're kind of in these two different distinctions, and they have to figure out, what is it like for me to be an oppressor, and what is it like for me to be an oppressed? And what I'm seeing in some of the research I'm doing in the schools right now, both in California and in Washington State, is parents and teachers have no real idea that this is happening until the student comes home and tells them, Mom, I was in class today and they told me that because I'm white, I feel like I'm a terrible person because I'm oppressing the Latina next to me. And the Latina's going home and saying, Mom, I'm never going to get anywhere because I am Latina, and people like us don't get anywhere because we're oppressed.
Wow.
So it's having a very dangerous effect.
It's unbelievable. You're absolutely right. I mean, my brother went through that experience in college, coming home saying that he was the problem with society because he was white and his parents were still together and had not been divorced. And because it was a unified family unit, then he was the problem with society. And a professor told him that as well. I couldn't believe it, and it burns me up. Keep up the great work. This is the kind of stuff we need to get out and educate people on each and every day. ANNALISA PESEK, you can find her, thenewamerican.com. ANNALISA, it's always good to talk to you. You need to be a regular guest on the program. Let's get you back on here real soon.
Thanks so much, Andy. Have a great day.
You as well. Always appreciate that very much. All right, that does it for us today. Podcast going up a little bit. We got a heck of a lineup for the next couple of days. Don't miss that. Until then, this is The Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser. Everybody have a wonderful Tuesday afternoon. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
That photo speaks so loud.